This is a story of two railroads racing to carve a path through the mountains of the desert Southwest to a boomtown blossoming into existence, digging tunnels, spanning bridges, and building stations. And what is driving all of this? The siren song of gold. This rugged mountain landscape started as a blank sheet of plywood and was carved from blocks of foam. And we're going to show you how it was done. This is going to be our rough plan for the scenery. The first thing is we're going to have a canyon stretching off this way, kind of a mountain peak here and a little higher scenery here. We're going to have a trestle goes along here, and that'll give rise to the height on this side. I think I want to have a cut here leading to a tunnel, and then probably another cut here to hide the transition to the other side. Like this canyon wall to kind of come back and continue on to not have a backdrop in the way and hide this and give the impression that it goes on further than it does. We're going to have this continue on, probably a retaining wall here, back to more natural mountain, tunnel here, probably another one further up here. Then on the top, we're going to have our mine. Down here, I have a small depot. One of the first things I did is I 3D printed this clearance marker. So it sits between the rails, put a pencil through the outside, and it gives me the clearance, and then I broke the lead. So I've got two clearance lines. Let me know how much I need inside the tunnels. Let's start with, I guess, just a random piece here. Get this to go out as much as we can. And so we kind of start here. Kind of start there. I'm going to use this Loctite to glue it down. Oh, come on. Jagged mountains carve a sun-scorched canyon land. Golden cliffs tower over cracked earth where no life stirs. Yet, deep in a shadowed box canyon, a trickle of water glints. The only source, the only hope, for a town in this unforgiving wild.
I'm going to make some spacers, because I want to get it up to at least the track level with nothing in it. So I'm just going to carve these pieces up into risers, spacers, whatever you want to call them. This one's not exactly. So those will be good. I'm going to glue those together and glue them down.
High above the canyon, a glittering gold vein shines, the mother lode. Fortune hunters flood the desert, scrambling up mountains to mine riches, raising shacks by the box canyon's scarce water.
We are going to start carving, looking at our reference images. So we get some layer lines. We also need to chop these down a little bit on the edges.
Two railroads carved a path to the riches. The Desert Fox and Pacific wound through the valleys, taking the longer but less strenuous route, while the Golden Summit and Western boldly forged a daring path straight through the rugged mountains.
We're going to use some great stuff to fill in some cracks. Fingers crossed. That's a lot, that's a lot. We don't want that. Especially not on the track. Oh my God, it just explodonates. Yeah, oh, disaster. Disaster. Disaster coming quick and fast. Just. Oh, holy crap! It's insane. Insanity. Insanity, insanity, insanity. I'm gonna get this stuff all over my hands. I don't know where this came from. We're gonna smoosh it in here. Lots of disaster. Okay, now to trim this down a little bit. We're going to do a little sculpt molding. I don't want to put too much in here. I don't know how quickly it dries. Start up here where I know I want to smooth this transition. Now we're going to paint the sides of the rails a rust color. I just mixed up some craft paint, some French wine. I thought that was brick red, but it's French wine and espresso. And we've got our airbrush, and we're just going to paint them up. We're going to paint the track. So we're going to start with some brown, straight down onto the track. We're going to do some more painting with black as kind of a spotty. You know, we don't want it all uniform. We're going to do a little dry brushing to add some highlights back in to our ties. Now the track is painted. Clean the top of the rails off. I'm just going to use my thumbnail until it's ground down. We're going to do a little flame treatment on this. This does a couple things. It adds some variation, and it toughens them up a little bit, which I like. Now we're going to start painting. This is my favorite grout. I like this color for kind of a deserty environment. So I took some of it, stuck it to a card, took it to Home Depot and had them mix up some paint that matches. So we're going to paint everything with this color, and then we're going to go back and grout the flat areas to give them kind of a soil texture. So let's get started. Let's take the biggest brush. Let's not mask any of the track off and just rely on our ability to precision paint.
The Golden Summit won the race, reached the mine first, and got rich shipping ore. The Desert Fox built a depot below and squeaked by, supplying the growing town.
Now we're going to do some washes using some of this wine. Pretty watered down. We'll see if it's too thin. Just right. Now we're going to repeat that step with some brown paint. Now we're going to wash all of the rocks. So I made up a whole lot of wash here. Let's see what the strength is. Might need to add a little extra water to this to get it to flow properly. And I think we're gonna have to. And I added a little polysorbate 20 that my wife had, wetting agent. Help this flow, although it doesn't seem to be doing it right now.
Trouble starts brewing as each railroad covets what the other has. The Golden Summit wondering out loud why some of their profits should be siphoned off by the high prices the Desert Fox charges, and the Desert Fox thinking they should have a share of the gold ore.
Now we're going to start doing a little dry brushing. That's a little bit too much paint. Now we're going to start putting down some ground cover. So what we're going to do is take some glue, some thinned out PVA glue, put down a layer, start shaking some stuff down.
Paranoia builds, with each side hiring armed guards and spying on the other. It's time to add details. We designed and 3D printed a bridge, an ore bin, the mine carts and tracks, and a depot.
We're going to put together the trestles. We'll start with removing the support material from the printing process. Now we will glue them together. So the trestles are printed in identical halves. We glue them together. We get the cross bracing and the depth effect. So alligator clips. I'm going to use these as little clamps, and then we're going to accelerate this. There's one, there's two, there's three, there's four. I'll just give it a little shot, and that should stick everything together. It's odd. There we go. One done. Now, time to make the rest of them. I'm going to be using the Vallejo Wood Effects kit. So we start by priming it with this kind of tannish color. After we've already primed it white. Now it's time to paint the trestles. We're going to start with a Walmart brush, stiff bristles, poor coverage, but this is exactly what I want. It helps give us kind of spotty coverage with streaks to help simulate wood grain. And I'm kind of starting with the higher boards, so that I can correct the direction of the streaks on the ones underneath. There we go. So that was golden brown. And then we're going to go to our next color, which is wood. I should have read the label first. That's the only color I need to use. Now we'll get the lightest one. Just hit this a little bit on the top. And there we go with that. Now, the last step is wash. There we go. Now we're going to put a little rust on our, there's some plates and bolts printed on here. So we are going to paint those. Now we're going to do a little bit darker rust and blend that in. There. So now we're going to put some rust streaks on the trestles. And we're using the ammo rust streaking effects. So let's give that a shot first. These did get a little spread out, so take a little mineral spirits around, get rid of the rust where we don't want it. A little rust effect. Now we'll just finish all the rest of them up.
We finished the trestles, now we need a deck for the bridge. I started by taking a top-down picture on the layout with a ruler in it so we could scale it 1:1 in Blender, and then I just simply drew the deck. Here we can see what I've drawn. It's fairly simple. I just made rectangles, drew them out, extruded them, had some cubes extruded for the supports. And if we turn off our background picture, there it is. So pretty simple. Exported this as an STL and printed it, and then we're going to paint it. We paint the bridge deck in exactly the same way as we painted the trestles, using the same 3 colors and the wash.
Now we need to remove this track so we can cut out this big support. I would have been thinking ahead. I would have not set these nails quite so far down. So I've got it off, a little mangled. Oh, there was a nail in there too. That would have been good to know. So I might look for another piece of track to replace this one. We'll see. It's not too bad. And we've got our switch off. So now we're going to mark this and cut the middle section out. So let's probably right about like that. And probably right about like that. Now we're going to cut this off. I'm going to try my hardest to not cut any of the scenery. We're going to glue on the trestles. So, do you want to keep them vertical? And that looks pretty good. This one probably a little bit in. There we go. Now, we'll hit it with a little accelerator and then start putting it in place. Let's flip it over and see how it looks. There we go. Now, I'm going to do a little check fitting, and then we'll come back in and install it. We're going to glue the bridge in. This should give me a little extra time to get it positioned just right. That's pretty close. Looks pretty good. Let's put some weight on it. There we go. I'm going to glue this track back down to this this side of the support, which is tied directly to the base. And I've got a, well, I'll show you after we glue it. Put some glue here. I'll give it a shot of accelerator. The first one always misses. So I think that's as good as we're going to get glued. Then I can take these off and show you what we did underneath. Just take this track aligner, stick it in, weight it down to hopefully get everything lined up the best we can. And it is a little bit out, so I'm gonna have to do something else here to get it lined up too. And I think we might just dump some more epoxy back in there. Now we've mixed up some epoxy that we are going to, I should probably have a toothpick. I've got one within easy reach. Shove it in here. There's a big hole. I like it to kind of go underneath that big hole, but not get on the rail, which it looks like it has. So I think that's good. This isn't the best thing, but it's what I've got at hand. Now I'm going to stand here and hold this exactly the way I want it aligned until it dries. Now I've marked that template outline with a paint pen on here. We'll go trim it down and make it fit. Now we're going to trim out our tunnel portals. There. Now we'll do the final trimming back at the layout, get it to fit, and we'll be good to go. Okay, this is our first attempt, or first trial fitting. You'll see it's a lovely white tone on the top because the paint pen I used had the feature that the whole entire top unscrews and then all the paint comes out. Well, let's start. There we go. We've got a tunnel portal in. It'll need a little filling. I'll probably carve the stone out to get it back in there. Oh, we've carved a tunnel portal out of foam for this upper one, and we're going to glue it in. And always make sure you run trains before you glue a tunnel portal in place. There's nothing less fun than finding out something you just glued in hits your trains. Then we gave the tunnel openings a quick coat of our base color paint. Now we're going to finish up painting these tunnel portals, do a little dry brushing, and we'll just continue this through with the same colors we used before until we get it at least somewhat blended in. We are going to start ballasting. Just Start by sprinkling some down here. Then we're going to start spreading it. There, that's pretty good. Then we'll just sweep up the strays to sit along the edge of the track. Isopropyl, wet this down. That is not working so well.
Once everything's wetted with the isopropyl, we used a 50-50 mix of water and PVA glue to fix the ballast. Everything came to a head when there was an incident on the Golden Summit line involving an ore car, dynamite, and an explosion under suspicious circumstances. In order to make the tracks for the mine, I again took a picture from overhead with a ruler in it, and we started by taking some track that I had made previously, and it's posable, so we can grab the nodes, move it around, and curve it. So I took that and we laid it out to go from where I wanted to put the mine head over here to dumping where the ore bin's going to be, and then another piece to dump the waste stock off. So we exported these and 3D printed them.
Now we're going to prime our mine entrance and our mine track. I guess prime / base coat.
And these were painted using the same paints and techniques as the rest of the wood.
Now we're going to give a base coat to our water tank and our mine cars.
The next step in painting the metal parts was to put a light rust wash on them.
Now we're going to add some rust pigment. Odorless mineral spirits.
We paint the water tank by sponging on some turquoise paint.
Now we're going to put our mine track on the layout. And I glued this together on a piece of saran wrap so I could get it all to line up, because it was really hard to get it to line up off of that. Just down here, because it kind of grabs. So that looks good. Maybe I'll just put some glue on the back of this and slop it on there and see how that works. Now to position it without it falling apart, I think this is kind of our most critical spot right here. So there we go. I'm going to lock that down, come back. Now we're going to install our mine. Or what is this called? An adit? So I'm going to try to mark. There we go. Now we're going to put together and paint the ore bin. The first thing we have to do is file the location slots for the posts. And that's because I just cut them out in the 3D program in Blender, so they don't have any clearance. They're line to line, which means they're not going to fit well. So we're just going to go through and give each one a light sanding. Now we're going to glue on our posts. So we'll make sure we get them the right way. There's 3 slots in them, one at the top, one in the middle, one towards the bottom. Put some There we go. Got these puppies glued on. Now we're going to paint everything and then do the final assembly. I think it'll be easier to get both sides of the bracing parts while it's not assembled.
The ore bin was painted with the same paints and techniques as the rest of the wooden parts. The horizontal braces now get glued into the slots that are molded into the post.
There we go. Now I'll just put the rest of them on, and then we'll put our gates and chute on and be done. Now we're going to glue on our chutes and gates. go. Now, if everything works out right, these will fit in here. There we go. So we've got our gates attached. I need to make a hand wheel here to turn them to open.
Installing the ore bin. We start by carving away the base of the cliff so we can get the edge of the bin right up next to the track. Then I put red paint on the bottom of the post so I could mark out where the holes needed to go in the landscape. We poke holes in the landscape for the posts, fill the holes with glue, and then we put the ore bin in place.
Now we're going to glue down our mine carts. And there we go. I started making a false bottom so we don't have to fill the whole thing up with, 50 pounds of rock. And these two pieces will help support. There we go. Spread that around. To bond everything together, or maybe some white glue. Yeah, diluted white glue might help too. This is the danger of videoing something you like. I came out here yesterday with this in pieces, having been freshly printed, and decided to prime it because nobody likes to watch priming, it's boring. And about 10 o'clock last night, it was completed, and I realized I hadn't videoed any of it. So my apologies, but there is one last step to do. We've got these brackets that need to be glued on, so that is what we're going to do today. So now all of our brackets are on the building. So we painted this in, it's actually a Milwaukee Road color scheme, maroon and orange. And I don't know, my wife picked it out, so if you don't like it, you can blame her. But I think the orange seems kind of odd, but it seems to go well with the desert landscape. So there we go. This puppy is done, except for a sign. Now it's time to glue down our station, our depot. On about 2 inches back. And there we go. Now we're going to put down some greenery. So I'm going to start with some fine turf, build it up a little bit with coarse turf, then use clump foliage and foliage clusters to fill it out a little bit.
Eventually, the sheriff had to get involved, and cooler heads prevailed once the prospect of cooling off in the cooler was raised, especially after a little renovation.
Now we're going to put a sign on the mine. Then I made this sign in Photoshop. Just took a picture of some planks, put the text over it, did a little fading and weathering. And now our mine is named Oro de Tantos, which according to the internet means fool's gold. Then we put some paint on the border and called it good.